Here at Mount Sinai, we're using the CLiX application from Clinithink to pre-screen for eligibility for trials. And that's very important to us because we have expanded to a number of hospitals around the New York City metropolitan region. And in our traditional approach to trials, we look only in the clinics where the investigators are aware of the trials, and that doesn't work anymore in a bigger health system. So what we're doing is using the CLiX technology to pre-screen for patients from all across the health system, find those which are likely to be eligible for the trial, and then make them known to the investigators on the trial. And in this way, we're able to really bring down the time frame to recruit the number of patients that are required for the trial.
The way clinical trial screening and enrollment has been done for years is that when patients are seen in clinics, or if providers are aware of certain trials going on at the institution, they are to ask a patient if they are interested in participating in a given clinical trial. This depends on the provider remembering to talk to the patient about it. They're very busy in their clinics. It's certainly not the first priority of busy clinicians taking care of patients to facilitate trial enrollment. But since it's the way it's been done, what's happened is we try to enroll a certain number of patients for a given trial sponsored by pharma. And it's been an arduous process of finding the number of eligible patients and meeting the enrollment criteria, often to the point where a trial will close out as its national or international enrollment goals, and the individual site didn't enroll enough patients to meet their own goals or their own targets, and may often fall in a deficit because of that.
With regards to the industry-wide challenges for patient recruitment for any trial, they are twofold. The first one is that patient screening happens in what I call an opportunistic fashion. So basically, the colleagues or the friends of the principal investigator, they review their own patients and screen their own patients for patients that they think they're eligible, and when they find someone eligible, they refer them back to the principal investigator. The second issue is that patients for clinical trials, the enrollment happens in dribs and drabs, leading to a longer lead time until enrollment and randomization, and ultimately a longer and slightly more inefficient clinical trial.
Well, I think it's quite well known that recruitment of patients into trials is the major challenge in completing clinical trials expeditiously. And there's a lot of benefit to being able to recruit patients quickly, both for the good of the trial, the good of the patients, and the ability to bring new drugs to market in a shorter time. And so the ability to find patients who are eligible for trials is the key.
With CLiX ENRICH, it can ingest thousands, hundreds of thousands of data records with all the notes, read these notes, and pair these eligible patients in a hierarchical, stratified manner from most eligible to least eligible, matching to that criteria. And then that initial very long list of potentially eligible patients is pared down to what we term the short list. And now a trial coordinator or the site PI can look at this pared down list and start with the most eligible patients.
So I think that the clinical trials landscape is going to have a paradigm shift in 2017 because of the utilization of the so-called big data that we collect on our patients on a daily basis. If we decide to truly harness the power of this big data in order to conduct shorter, more efficient clinical trials using innovative engines like the CLiX ENRICH engine, I think that ultimately we will be able to get the best treatment to the best patient at the best time and improve outcomes in this vulnerable population.
And this really is the paradigm by which all trials now and in the future should be following for efficiency. There's no need to waste valuable time where everybody is short on time, short on effort, short on money. There's no reason to not use technology to our benefit, as we've done in so many other areas outside of medicine in our lives. We should be using it for healthcare and for clinical trial enrollment.
Clinical trials are increasingly involving genomic information. in some cases for eligibility and in other cases for the targets of the trials themselves. So the ability to select patients based upon either their genotype information, which has already been tested, or the eligibility for genotype testing is increasingly important. And I believe that as we'll see a lot more of this in the coming year and years that follow.
That this will attract pharma sponsors, it will attract more investigators, and it really just lifts up the whole endeavor, the whole institution as it becomes more and more successful.